My brother stole my inheritance, thinking I wouldn't notice. I didn't argue, I just let him dig his own grave. A month later, when he was broke, jobless, I received 37 calls. I should have known Adam wouldn't let it go. I should have known as soon as the lawyer finished reading the will that this wasn't over. But at that moment, I was too numb to care. My father was gone. Nothing else mattered. The lawyer's voice was calm as he read my father's final wishes. To my son, Peter, I leave my entire estate, including my savings of $100,000. Silence. Then Adam let out a short laugh. Wait, what? I looked at him. His face was contorted in disbelief, his eyes darting between me and the lawyer, as if waiting for someone to say this was a mistake. The lawyer just kept reading unperturbed. Adam's laugh grew louder, but there was nothing funny about it. You're joking, right? It's a typo or something. I mean, come on. $100,000? And I get what, nothing? The lawyer cleared his throat. Those were your father's wishes. Adam shot out of his chair. Bullshit. His voice echoed off the walls of the office. What kind of father leaves everything to one kid and screws over the other? I just sat there. I hadn't asked for this. I didn't expect it. And honestly, I didn't care. I would have given every cent back just to have Dad sitting across from me instead of a lawyer with a stack of papers. But Adam? He cared. A lot. He turned to me, his eyes burning. You knew about this, didn't you? I shook my head. No. He scoffed. Oh, please. You probably talked him into it. Talked him into it. You were always the favorite. I didn't respond. It only made him angrier. You don't even need the money. What are you doing with your life, huh? Sit around in your little apartment and act like you're better than everyone else? You're pathetic. The lawyer cleared his throat again, obviously uncomfortable. If there's a problem, I suggest you take it up with your own legal counsel. But these were your father's wishes, and they are final. Adam's hands clenched into fists. Yeah, whatever. Keep your damn money. I don't need Dad's leftovers. I'll make my own. I'm better than you anyway. He grabbed his jacket, muttering curses as he stormed out. The door slammed behind him so hard the walls shook. The lawyer let out a small sigh and pushed his glasses up the bridge of his nose. Would you like a moment? He asked. I shook my head. No, let's finish this. I signed the papers, shook the lawyer's hand, and walked out. Adam didn't call me. I didn't call him. I figured he'd cool off eventually. I was dead wrong. A week went by, and Adam didn't call. No angry texts, no sarcastic messages, nothing. I should have known that was a bad sign. Then out of nowhere, he showed up at my apartment. It was late, almost midnight, when I heard the knock. Not a normal knock. It was fast, urgent, like someone desperate to get in. I opened the door, and there he was, grinning like nothing ever happened. Hey, Pete, he said, stepping in without waiting for an invitation. You got a beer? I should have thrown him out. Should have slammed the door in his face after the way he acted at the lawyer's office. But he was my brother, and in spite of everything, I wanted to believe that he was here to apologize. I went to the kitchen, grabbed 2 beers, and handed him one. He plopped down on my couch like he owned the place. Listen, he said, taking a sip. I've been thinking. I got a little heated the other day, but, money does strange things to people. I leaned against the bar. You don't say. He ignored it. I was thinking maybe we could talk. Just us. Like old times. No lawyers. No bullshit. Just brothers. I studied him. His voice was soft, but his hands were tapping on his knee like he was impatient for something. I didn't trust him, but against my better judgment, I wanted to. All right, I said. Talk. He smiled, acting like this was all perfectly normal. I understand why Dad left you the money. I do. You were always the responsible one, the quiet one. He figured you'd use it wisely, right? He took another drink, then leaned forward. But let's face it, Pete, you don't need all that money. Not really. And me? I've got plans, big plans. I just need a little boost. There it was. You want me to give you some? I said. He laughed and held up his hands. No, nothing like that. It's just, I was thinking maybe I could borrow some, as an investment. Help me get back on my feet. I stared at him. How much? He waved his hand as if it didn't matter. Not much. 50 grand? I almost choked. 50? It's nothing compared to what you have, he said quickly. And I pay you back. Come on, man. We're family. Blood. I let out a slow breath and shook my head. Adam, no. His smile faded. No. The silence stretched. He looked at me as if I had just stabbed him. Then, just as quickly, his expression changed to something unreadable. He finished his beer in one long gulp and stood up. All right, he said, dusting off his jeans. All right, I get it. You want to keep it all to yourself. Fine. Adam, it's not about that. But he was already heading for the door. No worries, bro. I see where we stand. He left without another word. I stood there for a long time, staring at the door. I knew this wasn't the last time I would hear from him. I just didn't know how far he was willing to go. I didn't hear from Adam for a few days after that. I figured he was pissed, but I wasn't about to chase after him. I had nothing to apologize for. Then, one evening, he showed up again. This time, he was holding a six-pack and wearing the same charming smile he used whenever he wanted something. Truce, he said, holding up the beer. I was an idiot the other night. I came on too strong. Let's just hang out like brothers. I almost told him to get lost, but a part of me wanted to believe him. Maybe he really did just want to bury the hatchet. Maybe he was finally letting go of the inheritance nonsense. So I let him in. We sat on the couch, drinking beer and talking about stupid things. Old memories, childhood stories, people we used to know. For the first time in years, it actually felt like we were just brothers again. Then he sighed, rubbing the back of his neck. Look, Pete, I really do feel bad about how I acted. The money, whatever. I was just hurt, I felt like Dad didn't think I was good enough. But that's not your fault. I nodded. I get it. He smiled. Good, because I want to make it up to you. I got something. A little surprise. I raised an eyebrow. A surprise? Yeah, it's in the car. Hold on, I'll grab it. I watched as he walked to the door, then turned back. Actually, could you grab me a glass of water while I'm out there? I'm parched. Something about the way he said it felt off. But I brushed it off, got up, and walked to the lights. My head was pounding. My body felt weak, like I'd been hit by a truck. A voice called my name. Peter? I turned my head. A doctor stood by my bed, looking down at me. I was in a hospital. What happened? My voice was hoarse, my throat dry. You fainted, the doctor said. Your brother brought you in. He said you collapsed suddenly, so he rushed you here. He stayed for a while, but then he left. Fainted? That didn't make sense. I was fine before. And then it clicked. The water. He had slipped something into my drink. My pulse started racing. What did you find? The doctor hesitated. Well, initially we thought it was exhaustion. But after running some tests, you were poisoned. A high dose of a strong sedative. My stomach dropped. My own brother had drugged me. I wanted to get up, to leave, to find him. But my body was too weak. The doctor told me to rest, to let the medication leave my system. But I knew, deep down, that something was very, very wrong. When I was finally discharged, I returned home, still groggy but determined to figure out what Adam had done. The apartment looked the same at first glance. My keys were still in my pocket, my wallet untouched. But when I checked the hiding spot where I had stored the inheritance, my blood ran cold. It was empty, not just the $100,000. Adam had taken everything, my own personal savings too. $18,000 gone. My brother had drugged me, stolen every cent I had, and disappeared. I clenched my fists, my head still spinning. I had no idea where he was, but I knew one thing for sure. This wasn't over. I sat there staring at the empty hiding spot, my heart pounding. Every dollar was gone. The inheritance, my own savings. Adam had cleaned me out. I grabbed my phone and called him. Straight to voicemail. I called again. Nothing. I texted him. No response. I was furious, but more than that, I was done playing nice. Adam didn't just steal from me, he had drugged me, left me in a hospital while he disappeared with every cent I had. This wasn't some petty sibling argument. This was intentional. I knew I couldn't go to the cops. Adam was family, and I also knew how he worked. If I got the law involved, he'd vanish for good. He'd spend every last dollar before they even got close to finding him. No, I needed another approach. So I called someone who could actually do something about it. My friend James wasn't just any friend. He had serious connections. The kind of connections that could track people down no matter where they ran. James picked up on the first ring. "Pete, haven't heard from you in a while. I need a favor." There was a pause. "Then go on." I explained everything. The will, Adam's meltdown, the fake apology, the drugging, and the stolen money. James listened quietly, and when I was done, he let out a low whistle. "Jesus, your own brother?" "Yeah." James sighed. "All right, I'll ask around, see if anyone's heard of guys suddenly flashing a lot of cash. Shouldn't take long." I thanked him and hung up. Then I waited. It didn't take long. The next day, James called me back. "Found him." My stomach tightened. "Where?" "Vegas." I merely laughed. Of course. Adam was always a gambler. He must have thought he hit the jackpot with my money. "Here's the thing," James continued. "He's not just spending. He's burning through it. Private tables, high-stakes games, luxury suites. He's acting like a damn millionaire." I clenched my jaw. How much does he have left? Hard to say, but if he keeps this up, he won't last another week. I ran a hand down my face. Let him dig his own grave. James chuckled. "That's what I thought you'd say. I'll keep an eye on him. But when he crashes, and he will, what do you want to do?" I didn't have an answer for that yet. So I waited. And just like James predicted, it didn't take long. Exactly 1 month after I got out of the hospital, my phone started blowing up. 37 missed calls. All from Adam. I stared at the screen, my heartbeat steady. Now he wanted to talk. Now that he was broke and desperate. I didn't pick up. I let him suffer. And then, just when I thought I had control, something unexpected happened. A block number called. I hesitated, then answered. A cold voice spoke on the other end. "You're Peter, right?" I froze. "Who's this?" The voice chuckled. "You don't know me, but I know your brother. And he owes me a lot of money." My grip tightened on the phone. "He told me you'd help him pay his debt." My blood ran cold. Adam hadn't just lost my money. He had gotten himself into something much worse. My breath caught in my throat. "What did you just say?" The voice on the other end was calm, too calm. "Your brother, Adam. He told me you'd help him out." I clenched my jaw. "How much does he owe you?" A pause. Then, a little over 80 grand. I nearly dropped the phone. 80 grand? Adam hadn't just burned through my money. He had kept playing, kept losing, and then, instead of stopping, he had borrowed from the wrong people. I exhaled slowly. "I don't owe you anything." The man chuckled. "Maybe not, but your brother made a promise. And if he can't pay," the implied threat hung in the air. I didn't respond. I was trying to process what the hell was happening. The man continued. "Look, Peter, I don't like problems. I like solutions. Adam said you'd cover him, so I'm giving you the chance to make this right." I pinched the bridge of my nose. "And if I say no?" The man was quiet for a moment. Then Adam becomes my problem. And trust me, I handle my problems in ways he won't like. The call ended. I sat there, gripping my phone so tightly my knuckles turned white. I had spent a month letting Adam suffer, letting him lose everything, thinking maybe he'd learn. But now, he wasn't just broke. He was in serious danger. And like the coward he was, he had thrown my name into it, thinking I'd bail him out. I had two choices. 1, pay off his debt and let him walk away like nothing happened. 2, do nothing and let him deal with the consequences. I should have chosen the second option. But then, something unexpected happened. Less than an hour after that call, my doorbell rang. When I opened the door, Adam was standing there. He looked wrecked. Hair a mess, dark circles under his eyes, clothes wrinkled like he hadn't slept in days. He wasn't cocky anymore. He wasn't smirking. He looked afraid. "Pete," he breathed, "you gotta help me." I didn't say a word, just stared at him. His hands trembled. "They're gonna kill me." And for the first time in my life, I believed him. Adam shoved past me into the apartment, slamming the door behind him. He was shaking, his eyes darting around like he expected someone to bust in at any second. "They're watching me," he whispered. "I swear to God, Pete, they're watching me." I crossed my arms. "Yeah? Well, maybe you shouldn't have dragged me into this," he flinched. "I didn't have a choice." I scoffed. "You didn't have a choice? You stole my money, drugged me, then gambled it all away. And now, because you're a greedy idiot, you're 80 grand in the hole with a bunch of guys who probably break legs for a living." Adam's breath was shallow. "I'll pay you back. I swear. I need help this one time, Pete. Just this once." I wanted to punch him. I wanted to throw him out and let him deal with the hell he had created. But the problem was, these weren't the kind of people you just deal with. If they had called me, it meant they were serious. I grabbed a chair and sat down. "Start from the beginning. Tell me everything." Adam swallowed hard. I thought I could win it back. I laughed dryly. "Of course you did. I was up, Pete. I was up big, 20 to 30 grand. Then I got cocky. I started betting bigger, and it spiraled." He wiped his face. "I lost it all. And when I ran out, this guy, Silas, offered me credit. He said I had a trustworthy face." I stared at him. "Let me guess. You took it." Adam nodded. "I thought I could turn it around. Just needed one good hand." "You lost it, didn't you?" He exhaled sharply. "Yeah. How much?" He hesitated. "At first, 20 grand. I gritted my teeth. "So how the hell did it turn into 80? "Interest," he said weakly. "And the fact that I kept borrowing to win back what I lost." I leaned back, rubbing my temples. "So now they want their money, and you threw my name in the mix." Adam's knee bounced. I panicked, okay. I told them I had a way to pay it back. If I didn't say something, they were gonna... He swallowed. "They were gonna hurt me, Pete." I stared at him. My own brother. A liar, a thief, a coward. And now my life was in danger because of his mistakes. I stood up. "Get out." Adam's head snapped up. "What?" "You heard me. Get out." His face twisted. "You can't be serious." I walked to the door and opened it. "You stole from me. And now you want me to pay for the mess you made?" "No. I'm done, Adam. I'm done saving you." His breathing turned ragged. "They're gonna kill me. Then run." He looked at me like I had slapped him. "You're my brother." I shook my head. "Not anymore." Adam didn't move at first. He just stood there, like he was waiting for me to change my mind. But I didn't. Finally, he let out a shaky breath and stepped past me. Before he left, he turned back. His eyes were hollow. "I hope you never need me the way I need you right now." And then he was gone. I locked the door, exhaled slowly, and sat back down. This should have been the end of it. But Adam wasn't the kind of guy who gave up, and neither were the people he owed. For weeks after Adam left, I expected something to happen. A call, a knock on the door, someone waiting for me outside my apartment. But nothing came. I asked James to keep an ear out, just in case. A few days later, he called me back. "Your brother skipped town," he said. "Where?" "No clue. He's laying low." Smart move, considering the people he pissed off. And just like that, Adam was gone. At first, I felt nothing but relief. No more chaos. No more stress. My money was gone, sure, but I could rebuild. I could move on. And I did. Life slowly returned to normal. I picked up extra work, got back on my feet, and started saving again. The whole mess with Adam became something I barely thought about, except at night when it was quiet. Because the truth was, for all the terrible things Adam had done, he was still my brother. And like it or not, he was the only family I had left. Then, nearly a year later, it happened. I came home late one night and found someone sitting on the steps of my apartment building. Adam. He looked different. Thinner. Tired. There were streaks of gray in his hair that hadn't been there before. He saw me and stood up slowly, like he wasn't sure if I was going to punch him or turn around and leave. Hey, Pete. I stared at him. What do you want? He let out a breath. To talk. I didn't say anything. I know I don't deserve it. He continued. After everything I did. But I had a lot of time to think. And I need you to know I'm sorry. I crossed my arms. For what exactly? His jaw tightened. For all of it. The money. Drugging you? Lying. Screwing everything up. His voice was raw. You were right. I was a selfish piece of shit. I spent my whole life thinking I was owed something, and when I didn't get it, I blamed everyone but myself. And it cost me everything. I studied him, trying to figure out if this was just another act. But there was no arrogance left in him. No excuses. Just regret. He ran a hand through his hair. I thought about reaching out 1,000,000 times. But after what I did, I figured you'd never want to see me again. And maybe you don't. But he swallowed hard. We don't have anyone else, Pete. Just each other. And I don't want to waste whatever time we have left hating each other. For the first time in a long time, I saw the brother I used to know. Not the gambler, not the liar. Just Adam. I sighed, shaking my head. You put me through hell, man. I know. And you're paying me back. Every damn cent. He nodded quickly. Yeah, absolutely. Silence stretched between us. Then I gestured toward the door. You hungry? A slow smile spread across his face. Starving. I'll let him inside. Maybe we'd never fully fix what was broken. Maybe we'd never be the kind of brothers who trusted each other completely. But we were still family. And somehow, after everything, that still meant something.